What's going on, y'all? So listen. So we are back again for another episode of Power, and let me just tell y'all this: this is season 4, episode 3. The kind of man you are. Listen, the kind of bitch I am would have been snatched up, Angela by her throat, bitch, because they playing the game smart. Tasha and Keisha, Keisha kind of flubbed a little bit, but she didn't realize it, but it's okay. But Tasha, you playing that game smart. You can't make your move just yet because this bitch is on your heel. But bitch, Angela better be glad I'm not sitting there across the room from her because, bitch, I would have been snatched in her throat. She was fucking trying it in the beginning of this episode, okay? It starts out, James is still up in prison, okay? And Proctor has this other guy come in named Terry who's going to help, try to get him off of, I guess, death row and, make all this shit go away. He trying to, and I just didn't like the way he came in with this. Okay, tell me, did you do it? Did you really do it? All like he really don't give a shit. He just care about his numbers. That's the feeling that I get. I'm not here to judge you about your innocence, brother. I'm just here to do this and do that. Whatever. So James go through the process again and tell him, what happened the night that he, I guess, visit Knox or Knox got killed. I don't know. Either way, he said he went to his club, he talked to Proctor, then he left, he went to Greg's house, and then they showed him some pictures, and he noticed that there was a cell phone there that was not there when he went there, because he said Greg wasn't there. Okay, and he said that cell phone was not there because I looked through that whole house, all right, that apartment. That was the shit that they used to plant on Greg to make it seem as if he was the one who, set up the Lobos thing and had him killed and was working undercover. Sandoval, Mike, he was the real person. We know that. So they was like, you can't really prove it. If you got evidence, you got to say it. But if not, this don't prove shit. Moving on from that, when we see as they talking to him, they didn't round up Andre, Julio, and Keisha. I said, bitch, don't come up on me while I'm walking across the street and you just two white men just come up and just touch me. Bitch, what the fuck? What the whole fuck? Okay, and they ain't spaz out. They kept they cool. So I gotta give them kudos on that. Cause bitch, my mouth would have been running. And I have to give Julio and even Andre. Andre came through in the clutch, okay? I know a lot of us is tired of Andre and we want Andre to get his because, he's playing all sides, all right? But Andre was like, they was asking how you know Ghost and how you know how you know James and how you know Egan, and it was like, well, Julio give off the story saying that he works at his wash and fold laundromat or whatever the fuck it is, and he was like, well, you in the gang and all this. Sax was trying. I said, get Sax out of here, okay? He was like, you're a Toro, and Toro's blood in, blood out. How did you get in? How did you get out if you ain't no Toro, and if you didn't this and you didn't that? And he was basically like, James gave me a chance, okay? And he put his life on the line to get me out the game, okay? They said the same thing with Andre. Andre gave this bomb-ass story like, James, the James that I know, he don't do no stuff like that. He wouldn't kill nobody. He like, a guy like James come from the hood, and once those type of people come out the hood, they don't do shit to ever go back because that's not the life for them. They help other people around them. I said, you better praise him. You better lift him up because he needs something, bitch, because you guilty as fuck. All right? But when he got to goddamn Keisha, bitch. Child, when it got to Keisha had all type of attitudes because who they had her with, they had her being interviewed by fucking Angela. Okay, Angela asking all these damn questions. So Tommy, how long you know him? But I can say that you know Tasha a little bit longer since the second grade. Yeah, bitch, you know all the answers to these questions that you asking. Okay, he was married to James. Yes, I do. Well, did you know that she sold her ring? Oh, so you didn't know that. But he left and he came back, sleeping on the couch in the office. I said, Angela, if you don't shut up, you are this close from getting yanked, okay? Keisha had to keep that shit together, bitch. It wouldn't have been me. It wouldn't have been me. I would have been like, bailiff, come take me to jail right now because I'm about to fuck this bitch up, okay? She had to think about her kid. That's the only thing. See, I ain't got shit to lose. All right. She got to think about her kid. That was what the point was. And she was like, "You asking me all this stuff, and she trying to prove I didn't realize what Angela was trying to do, because at this moment she was like, bitch, you know why they this and why they that is because of you. Okay, you came in and you did this. And she was so calm with it when Keisha kind of calls her out on her fuck shit. And then we get to when Proctor go and talk to Tasha and them, and they was like, what did you say? What else did you say, Keisha? He was like, Keisha, I know you was trying to do what you were trying to do and help out, but you kind of fucked up because you was talking too goddamn much. Next time, don't say a goddamn word. I love you, though, but bitch, don't say a goddamn word. I said, what you talking about? Bitch, Proctor and them came up and said, so basically what she was trying to do was trying to prove whether or not the marriage was still intact. Because if it really wasn't, then they can flip it and make it so that, Tasha, you're no longer acting as a wife, you're acting as an accomplice, and they can enforce that rule that, would say that, the spouse can't testify against another spouse, but since y'all not acting like spouses, you can probably testify against him, and they probably gonna make you put up on the stand and do that shit. I said, ain't this about a bitch? God damn it, Angela, you have to fucking go, okay? And Tommy dropped out Tariq, right? Raina goes up in there all fine. I forgot to let y'all know. We seen the third baby last week. I said, damn, we forgot all about her. She done got tall and everything. Anyway, when you out of sight, out of mind, people forget. So he talked about some, why you getting your mama so much hell and all this stuff. Man, I don't care about her. I don't care about my daddy either, because, that motherfucker up in jail, he probably did that shit. I said, if you don't get the Kanan out of here, bitch, I will fuck you up too, okay? Tommy said, you know what, I don't trust him either sometimes, but your father will never do no shit like this. He was like, yeah, whatever, I'm late. I said, get the fuck out the car. I would have pushed his ass out the car. I said, can you not? Can you fucking not? He just so irritating. So fucking irritating. And then Teresi get a phone in prison, okay? Call his boy Sammy, and they told him, yeah, the Tommy Egan dude, he a boss up in Queens. He came up with this Muglio. I said, bitch, you gonna say this nigga, this black bitch, that's what you saying, you racist ass bastard, but okay. Named Ghost. And he figured it out. He was like a ghost, but don't nobody know where he at and all that stuff. And he turned around and he looked over there at James sitting at the table. I said, God damn it, bitch. So after that little charade, back at the prosecuting at the feds and stuff, they up there talking about what type of info did they get out of Andre, Julio, and Keisha. Basically saying they didn't make any leeway. They was gonna bring in Cantos, okay, but he was like, if you give me full immunity, I'll tell you some shit that I know. But even Mark said that seems messy. That seems like a soft snitch that he don't like, because he's probably doing it because of, revenge or some other shit. You know what I'm saying? To get back at somebody, and we already know that's why he would have did it, okay? He's still salty, all right? Because you took Ghost shit and Ghost took you back from your ass, all right? Tommy, he pissed off about what's going on with the shipment. The shipment is coming in. Julio ain't there. Peter is like, you got to get this shit under control, because we got to follow through with what the shit we prop in Chicago, okay? That was part of the deal when we said we was going to fuck up Milan and take him out of there. We got to be on time with this stuff. Go to Raina and Tariq's school. Lil Raina, I just want to give her a hug. I really do. Because even though her brother, I give Tariq points for this, okay? He will come and protect Raina from these motherfuckers that be trying to bully. Like, bitch, you didn't get enough last week. You didn't get enough last week when you tried to punk out Tariq, okay? Talking about the dad and the gun and all that stuff, and he spooked your ass just by stepping in your face. He didn't even touch you then. But then you coming up there talking to little Raina, sending her this picture, this news article about, her daddy might be getting a death penalty and all this stuff. Then you showing her in her face, and, your daddy didn't talk about this in career day and all this stuff. Tariq, oh, what you gonna do? You gonna cry? Bitch, you's a punk bitch to fucking do some shit like that to a little girl, first of fucking all. And Tariq came through and hemmed his ass up. I said you should have did it a little bit harder so they can expel your ass, so you can come up there and you can beat his ass for real, But Raina was like, stop, Tariq, stop. I said, no, Raina, let him go. This what he good for right now, okay? Protecting your ass up against this fool, So Tariq gonna tell the nurse I went home, tell the nurse I went home sick or whatever the fuck. He go outside to Raina running after him. She started crying on the pavement, and what's going on? Paparazzi across the street taking pictures of her. I said, oh my God. She can't get no peace. Meanwhile, back at the prosecuting office, Greg's friend Bailey. Is that old boy from Toby from Oz? Mind y'all, Oz, they did a little first season marathon yesterday. Okay. I was like, ooh, y'all know I used to watch Oz all the time. It's crazy. HBO had some good ass shit. Okay, still do. But anyway, he come up there and he was basically trying to put it on that I will help you guys get the case against Tommy Egan and James and all that, but you have to put it that Greg was a respectable officer and he is not a killer. He is not a crooked cop or whatever. He was not the mole in this case. He had got information that it was Angela that was the mole in the case. He came to me with this stuff, all right, and was like, now I can help you if you will put it on the fact that it's Angela. They didn't want to do that because first of all, you don't have no real proof that it's her. Okay, so he's pissed off. Tommy and Keisha, they talking and they wondering what's gonna happen because Keisha's telling Tommy about what Proctor said about, the wife, the spouse flipping and getting Tasha on the stand, and Keisha's worried what if Tasha would talk. Tommy trying to reassure her she ain't gonna say shit. Okay, regardless of the shit that's going on, she ain't gonna say shit. Meanwhile, while you worrying about whether or not Tasha is finna open up her mouth, Tariq is over there with Kanan drinking lean and stuff. Man, these little motherfuckers up here talking about my dad and shit. He might be getting a death penalty. That nigga did that shit. I mean, then my mom, she flipping out. Everybody at school and everybody else already know about it, but don't nobody tell me. My mom's never told me. Oh, fuck all that shit, I don't even want to talk about that family shit no more. Remember that shit I told you? You ready to put some work in? He was like, yeah. I said, nigga, you ain't got the juice, okay? You ain't got the juice. Stop it. So Bailey goes and he walks in on Angela, and I guess she didn't really remember him, so he had to tell her who he was, okay? And it was like, you know what? I know that you had some dealings with Lobos, okay? Greg came to me and said that you was the one that had you was the mole, and you need to clear this shit up, okay? That's what you need to do. She was like, you know what? I know you blame me for Greg's death, bitch. I do too, because he straight up said, had you not dumped him and went to go, she said, bitch, I already fucking know that. I said, I don't want to feel no something for you, Angela, besides hate. Okay? I don't want to feel it, alright? So you can do all your declarations. You just got to get the hell up out of here. Bailey also went on and met up with Sax and told him about the recording that it was two people. The way that Tommy was talking to Ruiz or whatever on that recording or whatever. Was it Ruiz? Yeah. Tommy isn't Ghost. Tommy and Ghost are two different people. And so they not got to prove that. And, he tried to put it out there and said that basically James is the one that killed Greg so that he wouldn't find out that all of them are working together, Tommy, James, Angela, so they killed Greg and all that stuff. I said, that is a plausible thing, but it's not true. So I see where you're coming from, but everybody's still meeting at a dead end because none of this shit is true. And I just don't understand how they are talking about this, because when they was talking about, putting Angela on the stand, they talked about the kids. Because Angela, all of a sudden, bitch, you want to bring up the fact, what about the kids? What about the kids? You were just going to put them in the system? I was like, well, did he know that this was going on? He did. The kids are collateral damage, okay? That's what it is. I was like, do you think he did it? Angela asked gonna say yes. I said, you know what? Angela, you had multiple times to just say, come out, especially after you realized that the gun was up and they found the gun in Truth. Bitch, you could have came out and said, bitch, no, this ain't right. This ain't right. No, I don't believe this. Something is going on. And you keep on saying he did it. And you know deep down that he didn't. It's turning in your head that you know that you fucked up, but you still saying what they want you to say. And I'm just not here for a bitch. You's a weak bitch, so bitch, that's why you have to go. Moving on from that, Julio, he finally tells Tommy about the feds thing and, about them questioning, which makes Tommy go meet up with Proctor and see what the hell is going on. And he said you need to keep Keisha in line because at this moment she's a weak link. And he was like, I don't need nothing happening to nobody, none of my peoples. And he's still getting drugs for his ex-wife from Tommy. Like, girl, what? Okay, let that bitch dry out. Um, and then Teresi gonna meet up with Ghost. Basically, well, James, and was like, I know who the fuck you are. You up in here pretending that you're not Ghost, but you are. The way that you broke that man's wrist like breadsticks, bitch, you're Ghost. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna give me $20,000 each week, and you're gonna have Tommy come and bring it to this address each week, or I will tell Mock what's going on and reveal to him who the fuck Ghost really is. And I said, ain't this about a bitch? And then, Proctor had already talked to Ghost about some stuff. Him and Terry was up in there trying to question Ghost about, how did they get discussing the DNA. How everybody keep on asking how did they get the DNA under his nails and all that stuff. Like I told y'all, when Greg pulled him over, he hemmed him up. So when he grabbed him, that's how he got the DNA underneath his nails or whatever. And that's what made him realize, because they was trying to say that it was planted. And that's when Ghost realized what the fuck was going on and how it got there, and said that Angela knew. So they was like, ding ding ding, so you mean to tell me Angela knew about this already? So now we got another angle that we can go with. I said, oh shit. So let's go ahead and get all the information about the traffic stop and all this stuff, and see if he filed it on and everything. But we already know last week, or even the first week, what is the first episode or last week, Angela and them, they already figured out that he never went to the to file a police report, or to put that on record that he had a stop. But Angela knew about it. So, Terry does come back and talking to Proctor and saying that he hasn't found anything about that arrest pullover report yet. And, he's like, how can you tell if he's really telling you the truth? Well, how do you trust him so much? And he was like, Proctor was like, James wouldn't lie to me, okay? I just know that he wouldn't lie to me. That's not him. That's not what we got going on or whatever. And he was like, exactly what is it that you got on? Why are you so close? You like a concierge service to Tommy and, well, to James. And he was like, well, I was Tommy lawyer first, okay? And then here come Terry. Oh, well, since you working with both of them, that's not right. You too close to the case. You can't really do this and do that. He was like, yes, the fuck I can. Okay, they got the same interest and it's going to be all good. Later on, we see Proctor come back up there to talk to James. James telling him about this Teresi dude. He was like, find out everything that you want to know, everything that I can about Tony Teresi, because he came up to me, he called me Ghost, because at this point, Proctor is concerned about people being found out, and him doing stuff for James, and that's gonna blow their cover or whatever the fuck it is. And it was like, bitch, we already getting exposed. This motherfucker called me Ghost without blinking an eye, and he want money from me. Find out who the fuck he is. And right when they did that, here comes Terry, trying to see what's going on. He didn't find a police report yet. And right when they was about to start talking about some stuff, here come Angela Valdez. This bitch comes in with her hair just flowing and all that stuff, wanting to talk to James by himself. He said, no, bitch, I don't trust you. You can sit down and you can talk in front of my lawyers with an S, okay? She said, basically, if you confess to killing Greg, I will do all that I can to get your sentence reduced as much as possible. Your kids don't have to grow up without without two parents, because if not, they're gonna flip it and make it so that Tasha will have to testify against you, and if she don't, she's gonna get charged with something and put in jail. And I know you don't want your kids to be without two parents, okay? Think about what would happen with that. I said, bitch, I know it took everything out of James to sit there and not strangle that bitch. What you won't do is put me in jail under false circumstances, and then gonna bring up my kids as a soft point to get to do what you want me to do? Hell no. And he was like, I wouldn't do no shit like that. You know damn well I'm not sloppy like that. You know this. And she was like, bitch, you're lying to me. And I said, Angela, you known this man how long? How fucking long? I mean, yeah, he lied to you about certain stuff, but come on. The main fucking clue is the fact that the gun was found in truth. He won't be that damn sloppy, and you're still on this shit. And then have the nerve to say, come on, James. Me and you both know that when it comes to getting things that you want, your family don't matter to you. I said, why are you talking like that? Bitch, why are you talking like that? Is I'm supposed to feel intimidated or, ooh, bitch, she got you? No, bitch, talk regular. Okay? So she doing all that and gonna leave. Terry trying to get James to go ahead and take the deal. And Proctor like, don't you take that deal. He said, bitch, I ain't taking shit because I ain't guilty of nothing. And Terry up there telling Proctor, because Proctor said the bitch probably ain't even obligated or authorized to come down there and make a deal like that. Terry like, how would you know? He said because it's John Mock. John Mock would have took pleasure in some shit to come down here and say some stuff like that. Okay? And Terry is just over the bullshit with Proctor, and he feel like this is a lose-lose case. You need to just go ahead and tell James to cut his locks and say he's guilty and let it the fuck go, because he's over it, basically. I said, get the fuck out of here. Tommy got some poker night or some shit that's gonna happen at the little warehouse, and he setting it up. And while he getting things set up, Andre come up in there trying to tell him about Julio, because Julio did tell him to stop selling drugs because things was too hot. But Andre told old girl, the white girl, to keep going, and he told Tommy about it. And then, see, Andre, you got a plus for me, you know, in the beginning of this episode when you was up in that interrogation room. You just got that slashed in half when you tried to trick on Julio and make it seem like he was in there snitching, gonna say something. He was in there a little bit longer than I did. I don't know what's up with him. I said, boy, if you don't get the fuck out of here, something ain't right. Like, he just gotta go, okay? Sachs go over there talking to the judge, trying to get the evidence, the recording of Tommy saying that him and Ghost killed Lobos into evidence. The judge said, if you don't get out my face with this bullshit, while I'm glistening in front of you, if you don't get out my face with this bullshit, he said, okay, I'm gonna fuck off. He said, fuck the right off. I said, get out of here, bitch. So while James is getting escorted by Charlie Murphy, I just bet this is his last role, and his last role that we see him, he's playing a dick of a character. He gives him the paper showing Raina, crying and all that stuff. Of course, James is pissed. He calls Tasha, and he speaks to Raina. Tasha telling him that she's making it seem as if it's her fault and all that. And he's trying to tell her, no, it's not your fault, baby, and all this stuff. And, of course, Tasha is pissed off, too. So, because she got to clean up the mess. She has... Listen, you left your wife. Granted, in season 1, she really wasn't all the way 100% behind Ghost when he wanted to do truth in these clubs and all this stuff and get out the game. She was one of the ones that was pressuring him to stay, okay? But you still left your wife, who is the down-ass bitch because she is still by your side, and went to this bitch who flipped on you at a drop of a dime, okay? And I'm just like, you know what? Niggas just don't know what they got until it's gone, okay? But, he talked to her. Of course, he feels away, and he winds up talking to Proctor and telling him to, because Proctor told him about Teresi, okay, and what he's in for this murder and how he committed all these other murders, and he said, well, I need you to go ahead and just give this money to, take this to Egan and give this money, tell him to give this money to this address, okay? He's trying to protect his family. That's what he's saying. They do find, well, let me go back a little bit. Tariq. This little motherfucker almost had me curse him out because I thought he was about to do something real stupid. All right. He's sitting there playing video games with one of his little white friends from school, and we see him on the phone punching in some numbers. It was like an elevator code. I said, bitch, I know the fuck you not finna give away yo fucking elevator so they can come up in there. I said, no, what are you doing? But alas, it wasn't for them. It was for the boy that was picking on them, that he hemmed up his place so that they can go up in there and rob that shit. So I didn't feel bad about them robbing him because he was a bitch. So, something happened. And Raina at least had to come up in there later and talk to him and was like, what the fuck is going on with you? You can't be skipping school no more unless you're going to get expelled. He said, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about dad, and I don't give a fuck about mama and all that stuff. And get the fuck up out my room. Bitch, Raina good. Because I would have slapped his ass too. He ain't going to do, well, then again, he probably would. At this point in time, he probably would. So, moving on from that, we get to, I don't even care if I skip some shit, it probably wasn't important. We get to the court. So the Proctor was trying to get the DNA evidence dismissed. All right, they couldn't find the report log about James. What's his name? Greg putting down that he logging this traffic stop, so-called traffic stop with Ghost. But what Terry came through in the clutch finally was the traffic camera that was on the city street. Okay, a regular ass camera. And then when they presented the evidence, they was about to present the evidence. Mike was like, "But first of all, we don't know if the shit is true or whatever, if it's authentic." And he was Proctor said, "Well, we can prove that it's authentic because we have cell phone records." James and Knox cell phone was pinging off at the same time. Okay, and so they showed the tape. And sure enough, it's Knox pulling over James, him up on the car, grabbing him right there, so that's what he got. And it don't take much to scratch the DNA out. You ain't got to put a deep gash. Me just going like this, I just put some DNA underneath my fingernails. You know what I'm saying? That's all that it took. All right, he didn't even have to leave a mark on James. That's how he got his DNA underneath his fingernail. Okay, so when he did all that, they was like, well, I mean, this don't mean that I can dismiss the DNA. And it was like, well, yes, it does, because Angela Valdez knew about the shit and she didn't say nothing. Judge said, y'all bring y'all asses up here. So you mean to tell me, yeah, I knew, but I told them. And Mark was like, well, I thought it was lie, so we didn't look into it. And then it was like, well, either you didn't want to look into it or you already knew that it was true and you tried to make it seem like it wasn't. So by not looking into it, because Proctor looked into it, and as we can see, we found to prove that it's true. And it was like, now either I can present this DNA evidence to the court and then tell the jury that you tried to cover it up by not presenting it and bringing it up, or we can dismiss the whole thing. And it was like, okay, we can take the DNA off the table, but they not about to take the They're not about to take the whole case off yet, not just yet. Damn, something else happened that I was just about to forget. Fuck, I'll get back to it in a second. But yeah, they had this dumb dick lick on their face. Sandoval met up with Bailey. Okay? This motherfucker, is trying so hard to pin this stuff on Angela. And Bailey was like, I got all this. And, oh yeah, Knox did call me about saying Angela might have something, or she may be involved with the Lobos case and all this. And, what evidence do you have? We can talk about it. Bailey said, bitch, not here, not now, okay? This ain't the right time, all right? But I'll contact you. He looking at him like, bitch, I can see the game that you're trying to play, and I'm not about to fall for it. I said, don't do it, bitch. Don't you do it. So Mark comes up in there and tell Angela, you know what, I apologize for not taking you serious about, the arrest and all that stuff, and you're back on the team, and I forget that you are, really valuable and all that stuff. She got a little cocky with it with her response, and I said, bitch, please. Moving on. Tommy set up this poker thing, got people up in there, but then he got to go meet with the bosses of all the bosses or whatever, that little meeting with the Chicago people. He puts himself in a trunk, and they blow him up into the truck. And Tommy is not as dumb as some people try to make him seem. That motherfucker do some stupid shit sometimes when he act out, but he's smart. That motherfucker put himself in the trunk. He gave his car to his mother because he knew that they was going to be tracking him. He put himself in a fucking trunk, and they put him in a truck, okay, so that he can get out there without being seen, because he knew the motherfucker was out there watching him, the FBI and all that shit, to meet up with his people, whatever, at the other warehouse. So, what pissed me off, what royally pissed me off, was the ending of this episode. Ghost called Terry in there to talk to him. Terry said, look, bruh, I understand, I'm not here to judge you, but I already know what type of man you are. Basically told him that he belongs in here. It's your character that's fucked up. Okay, it's not about economics. You got an advantage and all this stuff, but you chose this path and all this. And he was like, bitch, your parents both went to college. You grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. You're the one with the advantage. He was like, no, bro, I'm talking about character and all this stuff. I mean, I'm here to get you off and everything, but I know what type of man you are, and I know where you belong. And he pointed and fixed that jumpsuit, and I said, bitch, ain't this about a bitch? What I can't stand is when black folks judge black folks like that. I know damn well, like, get him off the case, James. I said, get him off the case. He gotta go. But if I missed something, put it down in the comments. Once again, Angela and Tariq got me hot, and not in a good way. I want to fuck both of them up, like, put my fist on. Anyway, like, Tariq just really needs a good ass whooping, like a real good ass whooping. Okay, but y'all tell me how y'all feel about this episode, and I will see you guys later. Peace.